My name is Yair Davidiy. I represent Brit-Am, Hebrew Nations, an organization that researches the whereabouts of the lost 10 tribes amongst Western nations. We have produced a lot of video clips, a lot of articles, quite a few books. And at present we are about to discuss questions that have arisen, that people have asked us recently, and that which we have given short answers to, and we will continue doing so. We are about to give a series of short answers that we have given to questions concerning the lost in tribes being in the West, also concerning the Jewish people, and the two aspects are interrelated, and this is what we are about to consider. One of the questions that we were asked was concerning the very exile by the Assyrians. The Assyrians conquered the land of Israel and they exiled all of its inhabitants. And they did this in conventional terms over the period from 740 BCE, that is at least how archaeologists and conventional scholars determine the dates, the age. There are others, people revisionists, who have other opinions, more in line of that of traditional Jewish thought, which actually makes these dates much lower, more up into the 580s, 500s and so on. That is a different subject. At present we are going according to what is generally agreed upon, according to answers that you can find in encyclopedias, and that are generally accepted in the academic world. So it says in about 740, 730 BCE, the Assyrians began to conquer the northern tribes of Israel. There were 10 tribes of Israel in the north, and two or three tribes in the south. What happened? There were 12 tribes of Israel, or 13 if you count the two tribes of Joseph as separate tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh. The 10 tribes in the north separated themselves from those in the south. So we had the kingdom of Israel in the north, comprising 10 tribes, and the kingdom of Judah, comprising the tribes of Judah and Benjamin in the south. Afterwards, many from the tribe of Levi, most of the tribe of Levi left the north and also came to the south. And also, through the course of the historical events that occurred shortly afterwards, a lot of people from the north also came to the south, including refugees after the Assyrians attacked the north. And so the result was that in the south you had a predominance from the tribe of Judah, you also had the tribe of Benjamin, you had most of the tribe of Levi, and you had a large group of people representing all of the other tribes, especially Ephraim and Manasseh, but all of the other tribes in this group comprised perhaps 20% of the total population, according to the Midrash Seder Olam. And these two was in the south, and these two from all these the Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and this mixed body of the other tribes emerged the forefathers of the present Jewish people. And in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, we have census figures of the tribes who returned from Babylon, of the people, of the descendants of the Jews who returned from Babylon. But there we only find the names of people from Judah and from Benjamin and from Levi recorded. But we find a dissonance, a gap between the names given and the totals listed. And we are told that the gap is because the missing personages are those from the other tribes, and they were not mentioned by name, since their tribal expression, the expression of their tribal identity, was to be given amongst the 10 tribes in exile. This is how Nahmanides has explained it in the book of Redemption. Chronicles 5:26 tells us how the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and brought them into Hala, Habor, and Hara, and to the river Gozan until this day. We also find a similar expressions in 2 Kings 18, 11 to 12, and in 2 Kings chapter 17, and in 2 Kings 15 to 2:9. And at first the tribes east of the Jordan were taken away. Then there was a gap according to the Midrash of 8 years, longer according to archaeology, but there was a gap, a period. And after that the tribes in the northern Galilee were taken away, and following that, a little later, the people from Samaria in the centre were also taken away. And there's one theory that says that those in northern Galilee were taken away from before those east of the Jordan. But for our purposes, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is that they were taken away. They were all taken away. They were exiled. The Assyrians took them away, took them to the areas in the north and different portions of the Assyrian Empire. And they lost consciousness of their identity. And that is the most important point. They lost consciousness of who they were. They forgot their Israelite ancestry, as did every other nation in that time forget their own ancestry, and they eventually moved to the west. And they moved to the west in two different pathways. One pathway which concerned probably the majority of the tribes was overland. The tribes who were taken away to different portions of the Assyrian Empire. In Assyria they became very powerful. They were important in the administration, in the army. They linked up with different groups who were also at first captives of or federates of the Assyrian Empire. And from these peoples emerged those known to history as the Cimmerians, the Scythians and the Goths. All of these groups moved to the north, and eventually in stages and separate bodies, but under influenced by the same historical processes, were pushed to the west, went to the west and settled amongst Western peoples. And that is where the descendants are to be found today. Another group was taken by the Assyrians using Phoenicians and Philistines ships. Philistines are known to archaeology as Minoans and as Mycenaeans, but actually Philistines, and they had a great maritime empire, maritime seagoing enterprises, and they, together with the Phoenicians, transported Israelites to the west, and first to Spain, but also apparently to Gaul, and to the British Isles and to Scandinavia. And not only that, but from Spain, many of them left after about 200 years, and they also moved to the north and to the west, into the British Isles and Scandinavia. So this is what we have proven. We have shown it, and this is worth keeping in mind. There were two directions of migration. One via the sea, was almost direct. Straight away they were taken to the west, and then they were settled and forced to engage in working the mines, in intensive agriculture, and producing goods for the Assyrian Empire. And here too they managed to rebel and to establish their independence over a period of time, and they broke away. Also involved in this were Edomites, who were working for the Assyrians and oversaw this transportation and subjection in places of exile of the Israelite captives. The Edomites were part and parcel of the Assyrian Empire and also later of the Babylonian Empire. Meanwhile, you still had the Jews in Judah. Judah remained independent. It actually grew through an influx of refugees from the north fleeing from the Assyrians. And it was there. It was not exiled by the Assyrians, even though Sennacherib did take a large number from Judah into captivity, and these two joined the 10 tribes in their places of exile. Judah, on the whole, remained independent. But later it was conquered by the Babylonians, and Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian, destroyed the temple, and he also exiled most of the Jews in Judah. At that time he took them all the way to Babylonia, and they were scattered in different areas of the Babylonian Empire. There they increased and multiplied, and this was the beginning of the Jewish diaspora in exile. The Persians conquered Babylonia. Cyrus, the king of Persia, the person who had in effect taken control of the Babylonian Empire, he allowed the Jews to return. He encouraged them to return, and a small bodies of Jews did return and did re-establish a kingdom in what had been Judah. And over the centuries this kingdom developed and became another demographic center of the Jewish people, even though the diaspora remained.